Hello guys, today we will be solving the second problem from the CSES problem set. So let's look at the problem. You are given all numbers between 1 to till n. So, okay, except 1. And your task is to find the missing number. Okay. Let's see what is our input. The first input contains an integer n. Okay. And the second line contains n minus 1 number. Okay, so let's say our integer was 5. Then we will be reading four numbers. Okay, and each number is distinct and between 1 and n, and it can also include n, right? Because it is inclusive. Okay, and what we have to do is we have to print the missing number. Okay, so let's just copy our input output first. Okay, I'll just write this 2315, output is 4, right? So this is our input, right? This is our first input. And we are reading four integers, n minus 1 numbers, right? Reading n minus 1 numbers. Okay. And what we have to do is in this sequence, we have to find the missing number, right? So a simple solution would be to go with the sorting approach, right? So let's go with sorting. Okay. So this is before sorting 2, 3, 1, 5. Before sorting our array, look like this. Okay, and after sorting it looks like this, right? After sorting, and if we read the question carefully, we can see that the number is always starting from 1, right? So what we can do is we can do a simple check, right? And that check could be something like, let's say if our index was 0, right? If our index was 0, then our first element should be 1, right? And so how do we approach, how do we check if the first number is 1, right? What we can do is we can just add 1 to our index, right? So this is our array and our index plus 1, right? So 1 equal to 1 is correct, right? So this is correct. And what we can do is we can check for the second element, right? These are our indices. Okay. And let's see for index 1 what we get. Okay. For index 1, we will be performing the same operation. Okay. Let's see what is our element at first index, right? So we have 2, right? And our index is 1, right? So 1 plus 1 is 2 equal to 2. It is, yes, it is. So for the second index, let's check again. Sorry. Okay, so at index 2 we have 3, right? And our index is 2 and plus 1. What we're getting is 3, right? It is correct. Now let's check for the third index. So for third index we are getting the element 5, right? We are getting the number 5. But I plus 1 gives us 4, right? Because 3 plus 1 is equal to 4. Now 5 equal to 4 is wrong, right? So now that we have found a wrong sequence, right? A wrong sequence, a wrong number, right? What we can do is we can just output I plus 1 because that is our missing number, right? That is our missing number. Okay, so this will be our output. I don't know why I wrote it like this. So this is our output. But let's consider another case. Okay. let's consider another case. Let's take 5 as n, and we will be reading 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now for the first three, it will work the same, right? It will work the same. 0, 1, 2, and 3. Now for the third index, let's check again. So at index 3, we have 4, right? So at index 3, we have 4. And our index is, and in this calculation, we also get 4, right? 3 plus 1 equal to 4 equal to 4. Now this is also correct, right? So now what is the missing number, right? What is the missing number? So if we compare the two examples, right? If we compare the two examples, we can see that that in first example we also had 5, right? We also had 5, and the question also says that it is n inclusive, right? So we should also have n, right? So now we know that this is correct, but we are missing the number 5, right? So what we can do is we can just output n, right? We can output n, which is 5, right? So now let's code this logic. I will include the header files using namespace std. This is our main function. Now let's take the first input. Okay, this is our first input. Now what we can do here is we can create a vector of size 4, right? We can create a vector of size 4. So let's do that. Okay, vector. Let's create a vector of integers. I will name it add. Okay, now we have created a vector of size 4, and our indices will be 0, 1, 2, and 3, right? Now let's read the second input, right? Which is the numbers we have to compare against. Okay, so now let's push the elements into the array. Okay, now what we can do here is now we can sort. So let's sort in ascending order. Okay, let's sort in ascending order. Array begin, array end. Now after we have sorted it in ascending order, what we can do is we can just do simple checks, right? For int I equal to 0. Sorry, I is less than n minus 1, right? N minus 1 I plus plus. Now what we can do here is we can do a check, right? And our check would be at the index, right? At the current index, we should have the value of index and plus 1, right? We should have the value of index plus 1. Oh, sorry, this is wrong. Okay, now what we can do is if this statement is correct, right? If this statement is basically saying at this index, I don't know, at 3 index we don't have 4, right? At 3 index we don't have 4, right? So, and if this is true, what we can do is we can just output I plus 1, right? Now, but let's also consider the next example where we didn't have 5, right? If this is never true, right? If this is never true, if we are getting everything in sequence like 1, 2, 3, and 4, then the only missing number is 5, right? So what we can do is we can just print 5. So I'll add return 0 here and return 0 here also. Okay, now this should work. Okay. Okay, so it looks like we passed. Okay, I think there's no problem in this code now. So guys, this is it for today's video. Thank you for watching.